Welcome back to Beyond the Track. This one's going to be a good one. I have about 500 questions that I have to cram into this interview. Wish me luck. Wish me luck. Cole Seeley, retired Supercross star turned. What
Everything.
are you now, dude? You are doing so much stuff, and it's not like you're just doing stuff only in like the dirt bike vein, like you're all over the place, dude. So let's get into it. Let's start with today. Actually, let's start with yesterday, Cole. Why did we have to reschedule this interview? What are you doing?
I had a couple nights that I was up till 5 a.m. Unfortunately, not doing anything party related, but it was all work related. So I was up till 5 the first night, 4 the second night, doing a little bit of stunt work with some friends out in LA. So honestly forgot what day it was and woke up a little too late. Sorry about that, my bad. But honestly, my schedule is literally just an event. It is just a list of random events that just fall into my lap. I had no idea I was going to be doing that before we scheduled the interview. And then it kind of just came to me and something I didn't want to turn down.
Dude, so when a rider retires, there's like the valve shuts off, right? And there's this period of freedom. Oh, I don't have to train. And then like within a couple months, you're freaking out, like you don't know what to do, right? So a lot of guys have a hard time figuring that out, but it sounds like you have figured out how to keep yourself entertained, employed, and you seem like you're having more fun now than ever. And I mean, I have to imagine as a racer, it's fun, but it's intense. Where what you're doing now, dude, it's like pick and choose, and you're picking all fun things. And I got to imagine like you're living your best life right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I went through the same thing, what you're talking about, where it comes time to retire. And when you're racing the whole time, you're just like, all I want is like a week off to do nothing. Like all I want to do is just sit on the couch, watch football, watch whatever, and do nothing. Cause you're so like, just your days are so stacked. And I definitely went through that where I was like, all right, like I had my 2 weeks. Now what the hell do I do? Like I need something to do, like we're like adrenaline driven, where like when we don't have that adrenaline every day, it almost feels weird to us. So I just I don't know. I found my love in riding again with freeriding, going out with a bunch of my friends in the hills and going to trips to Glamis and Pismo and I don't know, just trying to live it up with riding. And then everything else that falls into my lap is a bonus for me. So, whether it's, I don't know, taking trips I did a trip to Colorado to do an event with timber sled last year in the snow, and then the imagination stuff, and then outside riding with stunt work and whatever I can get into. I'm stoked to be there and just I made a deal with myself when I first retired. For the first year, I wasn't going to say no to anything. Anybody that called me to ask me if I want to do something, I was going to say yes.
Oh, dude, yes, man. It's Jim Carrey in Yes Man, dude. It gets you in trouble.
Yeah, it was fun for like 2 months, and then after that, it was really overwhelming. Because like when you're racing too, it's like, I mean, you know what it's like. From January until August, you know where you're going to be. Like you could say, oh, where are you going to be July, whatever, the second week of July. I could say, oh, I'm going to be living in Florida, and then that weekend I'm going to be racing here. With my schedule now, it's gives me a little bit of anxiety because I don't know what I'm going to be doing 2 weeks from now, but I'm sure I'm going to be doing something. So I have no idea.
Yeah, you'll be busy, you're just not sure what. So couple things. Do you feel like when you were racing, the idea of free riding in the hills with your friends and doing that, was there ever a feeling of like guilt? Oh, I should be training today. I shouldn't be doing this today. I shouldn't take today off to go hang out with my friend. I need to be in the gym, or I need to be doing my laps. Is there like a relieving feeling now of like getting to do the things that you want to do? Like you said, relearning how to like love riding a motorcycle, because there's no guilt of being away from the test track. You know what I mean? Is there a little bit of that freedom and like almost like you're going to make up some time of the things you didn't get to do for probably a decade?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of guilt with me because I never did it. Like I was so disciplined with like, okay, like I need to ride today. Like there's no chance that I'm not going to be, unless it was raining or something like that where I couldn't be at the track. There was a little bit of guilt at that. Just, I mean, nothing I could control, but honestly, I didn't want to go riding in the hills. Anytime I was on the bike away from, work, it felt like work. So I didn't want to be on the bike. I didn't like have that love for riding anymore. It was more of a job and I needed to be there. And I love my work. I love, the feeling of lining up, and I love the feeling of being in the stadium or being at the outdoor track and racing and all that. I took a lot of pride in that, but being on the bike away from racing, it felt like work. So I never did it, but that's why I say I found my love for riding again. Like it's all pleasure now. It's no business. So
that's gotta feel good, dude.
It feels so good. Yeah, it's the best feeling in the world.
Stunt work. Are you gonna be the Jim Hawley 2.0? Like, are you gonna be?
I would love to be,
dude. Because have you seen the list of movies that Jim has been a part of as the stunt rider? I mean, dude, Jim is Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, really?
Did you know that?
I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that.
You know the movie How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days with Matthew. Dude, the scene riding across the bridge, that's Jimbo.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's done all kinds of crazy stunt works for like big Hollywood movies. So I'm like, dude, are you? I mean, Jim can't ride forever. Are you gonna be the new Jim?
I would love to be. I mean, honestly, I have a lot of friends in that industry. So when I go on set with those guys, it's like hanging out with my buddies. So that I love it. It's so much fun. There's so many good, even the people that I've met doing it. There's so many good people in that industry, and I've had so much fun just like getting my foot in the door and just enjoying the process. I've only done a few of them, but it's been so cool. Like the whole industry, so nice and so inviting. Like I just really enjoy spending time with those guys. But yeah, I mean, dude, I would love to be the next Jim Hall.
Hey, maybe we can work together. So I actually, the last 2 weeks, have been down in Burbank doing voiceover work and making some connections. And one of the guys I met down there does voiceovers for like all kinds of video games and movies and kids movies. And he's like an actor on General Hospital. And he's like, dude, I'm gonna have my agent call you. Be ready. I'm gonna line you up with a bunch of work. So, dude, we might be colleagues, man. I might be voicing over some thing, and you're gonna be doing the stunt work. And one more funny story for you. Do you remember the movie The New Guy, where the kid goes to high school and he's kind of a nerd, but then he goes to this new school and he's trying to be all bad? Do you remember that movie? The New Guy.
So yeah.
Mike Mason did the stunt work in that one, and he like did this crash scene where he crashed into the bushes. And Mike still gets checks, dude, for like $3 every once in a while for his royalties. And he'll show me like, awesome. dude, residuals, I'm balling. It's like $3.28 because like TNT picked it up for a weekend or something.
That's so funny.
So, anyways, crazy. But yeah. So love and life on the bike. My next question is, when it comes to the look of the things you're doing on your own, like your GasGas. I mean, dude, you're obviously putting a lot of thought into what your bikes look like. Style is like the key. Were you always like that? Because I always knew you as a stylish rider because you were TLD. You always look cool, but were you always like my bike's got to look cool and I got to match? Are you always one of those guys? Because right now, dude, you're nailing it with the look on everything.
Yeah, not really with motocross, but like with cars and stuff, I think that's what that comes from. Like I always had to like lower my cars, put them on cool wheels, and I don't know. I have a drifting background, so I think it comes from that. Yeah. And then because when I was racing growing up, I didn't have the money to do stuff like that. Like I didn't have, it was like, oh, get a stock bike and be stoked about it and go ride. But
bars and grips and a sprocket, and you're like good to go. But now you're like, dude, I think being around like the factory bikes really kind of like brought that out in me. Just seeing all the trick parts and like, I mean, they're works of art. Like after my mechanic was done building my race bike, it's like you don't even want to ride it because it's so perfect. So I wanted to kind of take that and run with it in my own style, which seems to be blacking out everything. Yeah, you got a distinct, bro. You have a distinct look.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a lot of blacks, a lot of grays, and then with the latest one, I just wanted to do my own twist on like GasGas, and I did my own version of a red frame. So yeah, it's really cool though. I really love doing it, and a lot of the companies that I worked with while I was racing want to be involved, which is really cool. So bringing those guys along with me, and just kind of having like freedom to do whatever I want. I can make the thing pink if I wanted to, and people will stick behind it and be stoked about it. But no, I don't know. I love it. It's so cool. Like it's a long process. It's a really long process. Like tearing it down is easy, but like sending everything off to powder coat or to Cerakote or to get the suspension work done, it takes months. So that's the hardest part, because you like take it apart and you're like, oh, that was so easy. It's gonna be so easy to put back together. And then 2 or 3 months later, you're like, wait, how did I do this again? So that's been the toughest part for me.
Well, it is, because if you tear it down, like your brain obviously is thinking of those pieces, but if you tear something down, walk away and come back. I did that with my kid's RM85 the other day, and I took the shock off, and it was like a month later, and I was like, I don't know how, like I was on Google, like trying to figure out how to put the shock back on, because I don't remember how I got it off. So again, if you're not like on it right then, the brain moves on, man. So
big tip. Like if I'm doing a wiring harness, I'll take a video and be like I'll talk to myself, like this went here, this went around this way, and then it went, like literally like break it down like you're trying to describe it to somebody else, because by the time it's time to build it, you feel like you are somebody else.
Yeah, I like that. Hey, so again, you have this freedom to do whatever you want. You can ride any bike you want. You can run any gear, you are free, yet you're with the TLD guys still?
Yeah, still brand ambassador for TLD.
And GasGas, was that an easy decision for you when it was time to kind of build your own life around dirt bikes, was to go back to, because I just know you as that guy. Like, dude, the Honda days, like I'll never forget you on a Honda 250 for TLD. I guess my best memory of you was on that bike. So was it just an easy attachment to go back to the people that you were with? Like I said, dude, you're Cole. You could go to anybody and get whatever you want, but you seem to have chosen people that, it's like a lifetime deal for you.
Yeah, which I'm really excited about. Troy Lee and Jason over at Troy Lee Designs, they're like family to me. So when it's time to step away from racing, I still wanted to, be involved in any way I can, and they wanted to be involved with me any way they can. So, kind of transferring over to the free ride stuff and more of a brand ambassador role, like influencer, if you want to call it that. They were all about it, wanted to stick with me, which I was, super thankful for. And yeah, it was easy. Like they were the ones that approached me, and they're like, hey, if you're going to do anything, like we want to be a part of it. So I was really happy with that. And then with bikes, I wanted to stay with Honda just because I felt loyal to them. Unfortunately, they didn't want to continue that relationship, but they're more of a racing team, so it is what it is. And Troy Lee helped me, at least the race team helped me with the KTM a couple of years ago, and then when they transferred to GasGas, I went with them. It's easy for me. My mechanic of 9 years when I was racing, from the Troy Lee Design days until factory Honda, up until the last year at factory Honda, Rich Simmons ended up being their crew chief. So any questions I had about the bikes, any parts I needed, he was helping me out with. And it was really just an easy transition for me. And I it's not like I don't like Hondas. I love them. They're great bikes, and the race team's awesome. They're like family to me too. But this just made the most sense for me. So I transferred over to KTM and then GasGas.
It seems to, you talk to the KTM Husky GasGas people in the umbrella. GasGas is the more fun brand, right? Yeah. They're the ones that are looser. Obviously that's why it fits better with TLD. Like they're always
no better fit.
Better fit because TLD is like, let's just do things that are outside the box. For KTM, seems like they don't like to get too far out of the box at all. So it just makes perfect sense for that team to come together with that brand. And then here you are again, ambassador, and doing all the things you are. It's sometimes in this sport, fits just make sense. And that's what this one is, seeing you on a GasGas with your bike all crazy and doing all these different looks, TLD, it just fits. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it really does. And I think you can't really put Troy Lee in a box. Like he's just too creative. No. And there's been so many things that he's done where I'm like, are you sure that's gonna work? Like flags on the back of the helmet or something like that. I'm like, I don't know if people are gonna dig this. And sure enough, like everybody loves it. He's just literally a creative genius. So you can't keep that guy contained. You got to let him, let his mind do whatever it wants, and to be a part of that. And then, obviously what I'm doing, being creative and trying to, put my own take on every bike that I ride and do whatever, it makes perfect sense. Like, it's just such a good fit for all parties involved.
Yeah, it is. It's perfect. And you don't see that often where you're like, man, that's all worked out good. Hey, so you're obviously riding, doing stunt work, free riding. How's the how's the pure speed? Like, if you were to get on, I mean, when have you been on one? Have you been on one at all in the last year or two? And if so, like, are we still cooking, or what's the speed looking like?
Yeah, I still got a little bit of speed. A little. I tested last year during the summer. I helped the Troy Lee race team with some testing in the outdoors. Spent some days out at Glen Helen, my favorite place in the world.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah, no, I helped them out just because last year the whole team was so young. They didn't really know what they were looking for with developing settings and stuff, and I've spent way too much time doing that. I hated it while I was racing, but I was really good at it. So they brought me on to help with some testing, develop some settings, and kind of let those guys see what settings I would pick, and I think it helped them all as riders too. And then this year, right before Millville, I'm not taking any credit for this. I know Barsha went 1-1 at Millville, but that Tuesday before that, I helped them test, and to ride that bike, that factory GasGas 450 was something pretty cool. I haven't ridden anything but a Honda, at least 450 in so long, factory at least, and so it's cool to see what that bike's like and help them develop even more settings, and yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I still can go, like I still got some speed, I still got some, but the thing is I don't got the endurance anymore.
Yeah, the endurance, like probably like race speed would be gnarly too, being all congested. You haven't probably been like bar to bar in a while. So
yeah, I got
pure speed and talent.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, from a talent standpoint, I feel like you would just pick it up like immediately. Supercross tracks, you seem to always make easy the way you rode them. So I figure like you could hop on one and by the end of the day probably be slapping around the 250 guys a little bit anyway.
I've thought about it. Believe me, I thought about it. But no, I don't know. I've ridden some Supercross. We have the private spot that I have out by my house that I'm fortunate enough to be involved with. We have a Supercross track out there, so I'll go over there and spin some laps every now and then and mess around. But nice. No plans to race anytime soon.
Hey, you see Brock Tickle working with Cowie, Ivan Tedesco, Ryan Morris. I'm just going through the list of all these talented riders that when they're done, they end up getting into that side of things, the testing, the development. And you just mentioned how as a racer, you hated that and like it more now. Why do you think that is? How you could go from, God, I hate testing to, God, I love testing. Is it just because they're having you test when you're trying to prep for a season and you're like, man, this doesn't feel like I'm prepped? Is that it? Because I hear riders all the time, like, God, I hate testing. And then they retire and they're like, dude, I love testing. Like, what is that?
It's because when you're at the track, you want to be at the track to put in your laps and put in your work. And as soon as they throw a test day at you, I mean, you know what it's like. You do like 2 laps, you pull off, debrief, put the bike back on the stand, they change apart, go do 2 laps, come back, so on and so forth. And it's
just
longer,
long and boring.
Yeah, it's a longer day. Like you're there probably 2 or 3 hours longer than what you would have been if you were just doing laps, doing your motos. But you're really only doing like 15 to 20 laps a day, where it's like, oh, like you almost feel that guilt, like what you're talking about, like I should have been putting in my laps, like I should have been working on my endurance, I should have been working on my line choice, like this and this and this. But you really can't do those things without testing. So it's a catch-22. Like you don't want to be doing it, but you need to be doing it to set yourself up better for the future.
Right.
I was always kind of the rider that I would try really hard to get all my testing done in like November and try and get like my settings.
Just be done and so you could work.
Yeah, one of my best years, 2014, which was the year that Jason Anderson and I were going for that lights title. I actually developed that setting that I was on at Monster Cup. Like we developed it for 450. I think we went like 1 spring rate down, put it on 250, and then that was my setting all year long. I never touched it. That was like the happiest I'd ever been, because I didn't have to test, I didn't have to do anything. We tried things here and there, but I was like, no, my base setting's way better than this. So that was the best year for me as far as testing went.
Hey, so this is a question that I would never be able to ask you when you were racing, because you would never give me an honest answer. Nobody would. But now that you're on the other side of it and you're past all this, what's the deal with Anaheim 1? Like riders come in, they're fired up, the bike's perfect, and then they go to Anaheim 1 and it's like throw it all in the garbage can. And maybe for you, maybe you were better at Anaheim 1 with the settings issue. But what do you think that is where a rider comes into Anaheim 1 and it's just garbage? Everything's bad. Like I said, dude, 5 years ago, you're not answering this question, but now can you answer that? Like, what is that?
Yeah, I think it's just nerves. It's just a lot of nerves. Everyone is like, when you show up to Anaheim 1, well, when everyone shows up to Anaheim 1, everyone is at 100%. They've been stacking, test days and moto days and all these things where like they're as prepared as they possibly can. So this competition's as high as it's ever going to be. Nobody's got any lingering injuries usually. Nobody's like, I don't know, everyone is as ready to go as they're going to be. And that mixed with nerves and, setting your season up, like my thing was always like, yeah, it'd be great to win, but if I can get out of here with a top 5 or close to a top 5, at least the rest of my season is set up to be successful. So I didn't try to put too much pressure on myself going into A1, but yeah, I think, and I never blame, like I was never the rider to blame the bike, I almost think that takes some pressure off you where you're like going into it, it's like, oh, if my bike's not right, then like, I'm not going to do well. Well, I never wanted to blame my bike. So I was like, this is all me. Like, I just need to go here, do the work that I'm paid to do and try and get my best results, set myself up for a good season. But yeah, I think it just comes down to nerves really.
You think it too, because again, round 1, you said it's the most stacked race. Everyone's all breathing fire, right? Everyone feels like this is my year. When you go out in that first practice and the track's a little weird, it's not developed yet, and then you look on the board and you're 12th, do you think these riders are like, everything's wrong, the bike's bad, and because they might not have got the best time,
Yeah, that probably has a lot to do with it actually, because you're saying 12th, but when you look at results from practice from Anaheim 1, 12th is like almost within a second of first.
Yeah, you're like right there.
Every single 10th is taken. Like it's not like I've done that actually where I've showed up and I'm like, man, like 10th or 12th, like what's wrong with me? And then I look at the the scoring and I'm like, oh, I'm only like 8/10 out of the lead. Like calm down, it's just a number, but the speed's there.
Like
and I was always the guy.
Two better corners, and I'm like third, and I'm freaking out,
Yeah, and I always knew too, like I was not a good practice. Like I was not the kind of guy that could throw down one lap in practice. Like I wasn't warm enough yet, or like just wasn't feeling the track yet. And then they groom the track before the night show, and then you're there. Like I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to do battle. There was something about that, like the lights coming on and all that stuff like that I was so much better at than practicing or throwing down one lap. If you took my average laps versus everyone else's average laps, I'm sure I'd be like within the top 3, but I was never good at putting that one ringer lap in.
Bro, I don't know how we could trust the technology to work, because it's hard enough to get these times right sometimes. But dude, tell me it wouldn't be better to take your 3 fastest times from qualifying and average them, and that be your qualifying time. Tell me that wouldn't be a better system.
Yeah, I know. Nobody would be about
even
that.
3, just 3 laps. You don't have to do all 10, but or even your 2 best. I feel like sometimes like that one heater is like, oh, but it's like not real, dude. Like, close your eyes for a minute and pull one off doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, can you do 22 of those or 23? Like, like, can you do? Probably not.
Yeah, so I would love a little adjustment in how they do qualifying. But anyways, all right, moving on. Next question. This is going to be a weird one. Well, it's a weird one for me to ask, and the fans might be confused too, but I got to ask it. Explain cryptocurrency to me. I don't know anything about it, and you, at least in our industry, you might be the guy now. Like, what? How does crypto work, and what are you doing?
Yeah, so I mean, that was me years ago. When like Bitcoin was first introduced, like it was like $5 when I heard about it, and I was like, what?
Oh my gosh.
My website developer, when I was racing, told me about it, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like what is this? This doesn't make any sense to me. And then cut to like 10 years later, he's like a millionaire, and I'm like, oh sweet. Like I should have put quite a bit of money into that. Like I had no idea, didn't understand it, anything like that. I started studying it and buying some and watching the market. As far as like, I've always been heavily invested in like stock market stuff, but watching the crypto market was something new to me. And so I had heard about this coin called Rally Coin that it's a content or creator coin. So I heard about it and then started doing a little bit of research, and some athletes that were like in baseball and football and stuff had been doing it. Some younger guys, but so I started looking into it and got in contact with these guys, and it just started to make sense. And it was one of those things where I was like, this is like one of those things of how I felt about Bitcoin. I was like, I don't fully understand this, so it's not something that I'm going to overlook. I want to like sit down, learn about it, read about it, get as much info as I can. And if it makes sense, do it, because I already missed one opportunity in this world, so I might as well, not stumble on the next one. So, but yeah, it's really cool. Like I'm going to start doing some like limited giveaways based on who has my coin, and have some cool ideas with maybe doing like a ride day with, Southern California based, holders and stuff. So it'll
Nice.
be something that's cool. And as it develops, I think people start to understand it more. And even me, like, it's such new territory where I don't even know the full potential of it. I know what's in front of me and what I can do with it, but I'm going to be getting ideas and as I learn about it, kind of introducing those to everyone that follows me or friends that I have or whatever, and just try and involve those people in it.
I like it. Keep me posted and let me know. Let me get on this wave with you, bro, because the Bitcoin one is there's same thing. I was hearing about it, and then I know people that put a little bit in and made so much, and I'm like, it still doesn't make sense, but hey, their bank account makes sense. I don't know.
Dude, I know that's I was when I heard about it, I was like, what is a digital currency? Like, why wouldn't I just have my cash? Like, doesn't make any sense. But then it's like this new world we're living in. I mean, it's
crazy world.
It's either get lost or adapt to it. So I'm doing my best to adapt to it.
Yeah, don't miss out twice. So I love it. What else are you doing right now? I mean, you got the coffee business, the drifting. Are you still doing anything with the drifting? And with that also, give me some of the background on where that came from you, because I know you're heavily into it, but I don't really know where that started. Like, where was that, like a kid thing? Did you grow up liking that?
Yeah, I was really into it when I was in high school and could never afford a car or anything. Actually, my first podium, San Diego 2010, bought me my first drift car.
Okay.
So I've been really into that, just that style and that scene for a decade now. So and then once I was like getting a little bit more successful, I wanted to kind of make it fun again. Like some of the way that the world of drifting was evolving, like it wasn't still fun to me. Like, so me and a couple of my friends got together, started a drifting company called Circuit Spirit. So we host events, more grassroots style for beginners, or advanced guys show up, but more targeted towards the beginner demographic. But yeah, we haven't hosted an event in a little bit with the pandemic and all that. So we're looking to hit the ground running coming next year. And then in November or next month, it's coming quick, but I'm doing a thing called Driftweek, which will be interesting, something I've never done before. But basically got to load up the drift car with all my tools and clothes and everything like that, and then you drive. Usually I trailer everything, but drive from track to track. So drift at a track, drive to the next track, drift, drive to the next track, drift, so on and so forth for a little over a week. So,
and obviously
I'll be documenting that on Instagram.
I was going to say, it's 2021, almost 2022. I imagine this will be documented, edited, and put out. Right? I mean, everything cool. You don't do cool stuff anymore without sharing it. That's just like the rule, right? So
and if you do, people get upset. It's funny. Like, I can't, if I did something, like if I made a little bit more progress on one of my builds and didn't document it, people are like, "Oh, where's the video? What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
Right.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, I feel like that's how it is when you grow an attachment or a liking of something. You want to see more of it. And again, you're taking this post racing thing like to a level that I think a lot of people want to. I got Ryan Sipes. He'll be the next episode of this series. He's doing everything. I mean, what do you call him, Joe? Because it's not really a retirement thing, but he's more like finding everything he could race to where he's not like stuck in a series. You're like, dude, I'm going to do everything on the dirt bike that's fun, but he's still like trying to do different racing and things, but it's the same kind of thing, just trying to make it enjoyable again, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is it's varies case to case. Like, this is my version of fun. I think that's his version of fun. And they might not be the same thing, but then we come together at like Imagination, and which he killed it at. Like, I was really impressed with his riding there.
Dude, he's lucky. He's very, very lucky though. That That was weird, bro. Like,
It
what
was really
was
weird.
that?
He said he air braked and like slipped on the
Killed
clutch,
it.
I think. Yeah, like he didn't get the clutch all the way and air braked, and then it stalled and the nose just started to dive. But yeah,
dude,
he's a super talented rider, super fun guy to be around. So we had a lot of fun together out there at Imagination.
Yeah, I got to hang out with Eric Bernard. I think it might have been, I don't know when in the timeline of this event he was there, but he came over to the Endurocross, got to hang with him, and he said it's just psycho what was done out there. Was that in Kansas? Is that where that is?
Yeah,
Kansas.
Fort Scott, Kansas.
How was it for you? Just that whole experience. I mean, from the outside looking in, it looks psychotic. That's what it looks like.
Terrifying, and with anything, it's way bigger in person. Like when I watched the back on YouTube, I was like, this doesn't even do half the justice of how scary these jumps were in person. Like I don't even know how to put it in perspective.
And that's coming from you, who again is super talented on a dirt bike. I've always felt Supercross to you looked like a playground. You made the track look like it came to you easy. So to hear you say, dude, this is, you know what I mean? That tells a story too. And you're right, because when you watch it on video, if you watch a Supercross on video, the whoops don't look that gnarly. The three in the rhythm don't look gnarly. And then in person, it's absolutely, like last year I was doing my Blair's breakdown videos after the race. Dude, it would make me sick sometimes seeing the face of the triple jumps and knowing that they were battling, still scrubbing off these triples where there's peg scrape marks off it. Like, video never does justice. And I have to imagine Imagination, was it Imagination Land or whatever they called it? It was
just Red Bull Imagination.
Just gross, right? It was crazy.
It was really fun once you got the jumps down, but there were so many jumps and there were so many big jumps. Like we would spend one day in one section, you know, like the first day we went to like this section called Dumb and Dumber. It was a 90 to a 120 and it was massive. Like
why is it called Dumb and Dumber?
Like 120 foot like tabletop at your local track. This is like a 120 foot lip that's like 12 feet tall, straight up and down, landing that's just massive. Dumb and Dumber
is it called?
It's a big jump and then a bigger jump. So we coined the name Dumb and Dumber.
And you guys are all Dumb and Dumber for doing it.
Yeah, so we would do that like the first day. Then the next day we would move to another part of the course, learn those jumps. And every time you're hitting a new jump, you're so nervous, like terrified. And then we go to another section. And then like 3 days into it, you're like, oh, crap. Well, it's been 2 days since I hit Dumb and Dumber. Now I got to go back over there and do this jump again. Like, remember how fast I was going. Like, and there's nothing to warm up on because everything's massive. So, it was fun, but it was like the first time, it was the most nerve-wracking week of my entire life. But yeah, once you get everything done, like after I was done with my run, I go straight to my bike. I was just like, thank God, like I'm done with this.
I'm out of here.
To load this thing back up, like just get back to California. But it's what's that?
How was that event off the bike? I mean, because we're always so focused on what you're doing on the bike, but dude, you're with a lot of cool people that are all your friends. What is that? What is it like to be there for that amount of time and just be with a bunch of other crazy buddies?
Yeah, I mean, last year was fun. There was only, I think, 7 riders last year, 6 or 7 riders. It was a lot of fun, pretty core group, like, you know, hanging out. This year there was 12 and even more people with them. So it's a lot of fun. Like it's so much fun when we stay in this big barn and you know, there's basketball and bag toss and pool and batting cage and like literally everything. It's the biggest man cave you've ever seen. So we get back there and we're all hanging out, eat dinner, and then we start playing like around a knockout and basketball and all these fun things. And then before you know it, you look at the clock, like, oh, it's 2 a.m. Like we got to go to bed.
Yeah.
Just because you're with such a fun group of guys, like you just lose track of time. But that's like more than half the fun for me is going there and hanging out and you know, the banter that we all have is so fun. Like I really enjoy being around a lot of those, every one of those riders that I'm with while I'm there.
Seems like a cool group. And then of course you got, you know, Axel and Behrman and these guys. Do you ever watch the things they do and you're just like, what is wrong with you guys? Like,
yeah, most of the time.
I mean, most of the time, right? I mean, and they pull stuff. You know what? I guess they are as comfortable in their world as you were in Supercross, where you would just in the middle of a moto all of a sudden hit a new triple, and it's like, God, where did you come up with that? And where did you have the, you know, the wherewithal and the ability to just do this new triple or this new quad even? they kind of do that too. They just pull it out of nowhere. I mean, now that you're seeing that up close, are you feeling those same kind of vibes where they just have the talent to see things and they trust themselves like you did on a Supercross track mid-main event when you'd have to do something different because the guy in front of you did it, like, yeah, same kind of vibe?
Yeah, actually, Ryan Sipes and I had a moment of, realizing that. I mean, yeah, it's one thing when we like all go to a jump and we're like, oh, like cruising around, like, oh yeah, I think I gotta go this fast. And then before you know it, like Bierman's really good at just knowing how fast to go. So you see him do it and you're like, man, how does he do that? And then like he'll tow you into it. But me and Sipes went to one side of the course at Imagination and we were like looking at a jump and we're like, man, we're really lost without that, like without Bierman being here, like jumping it first. And like it took us like 2 or 3 times longer to hit like, a jump that was not even that big, but without, so yeah, it definitely relates. Like, when I'm on a Supercross track and I see a triple or a quad or something like that, it's like, oh yeah, like I know how fast to go, like easy. That's how those guys are when it comes to free riding and hitting
crazy
jumps that are just, you don't feel like they're that possible.
Crazy consequences and they nail it, man. They're so talented. It's insane.
Yeah, it really is.
So moving forward then, I mean, you obviously, the yes man days are over. You're not doing just everything now, right?
No,
I mean, we're cutting some things out. Okay.
Yeah.
What about things that you want to do? Is there any kind of a bucket list of like, man, I want to get into that, or I want to do that? Or is it more like what's coming at you? You just kind of accept what you want to do or not. Are you forcing your direction at all in the things that you want to do?
Not really, no. Yeah, there's some things that I still want to do, even motocross related that I want to do. I like as far as a bucket list goes, but I just kind of go with the flow. I don't really I'm not trying to force anything, and I don't know. I like one thing I want to do. I still want to go to Australia and race at least one race. Like that's one thing I want to check off my bucket list. But I don't know. I kind of just like go with the flow and have fun with it. And at least for now, like I still say yes to a lot of things, but you definitely got to restrict yourself a little bit. It gets a little overwhelming.
Last question for you. When you watch Supercross, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is the tickets just went on sale. Like, that feeling like we're starting to get close, right? The track maps are coming out, ticket sales, the East-West Showdown is now set. When you start seeing that, do you still get those fall to winter vibes of like, it's coming? Because for me, even, dude, I haven't raced in so long, but I still I start getting those weird feelings that I've gotten for like my whole life because the season's about to show up. Do you still get that at all? Or have you been able to disconnect enough to where, late December, I'll start thinking about it? Or does A1 and the new season get on your mind still, even though you're not racing?
It still does for sure. Not as much as obviously when I was racing, but everyone's so connected with Instagram and other social outlets right now, like seeing, guys like Christian Craig or Chase Sexton that I used to train with every single day, seeing them post about, oh, I'm on a road bike ride today, or oh, I'm in the gym today, kind of like that. Of like, that was me, like I feel almost a little bit of guilt, like not being there with them, like missing a day of training. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to break routine, as a racer, you love routine. Like that's what you live off is routine. So it's a little hard, but it is nice now being able to actually like enjoy the holidays. Like as a racer, you don't really enjoy Thanksgiving. You don't really appreciate it. You don't really enjoy Christmas because all you're thinking about is, 10 days from now I'm going to be lining up or whatever. But yeah, I still get excited. I mean, showing up to A1 for the first time though in 2020 was a very happy day for me because I've never showed up to Anaheim 1 like excited and like not nervous and just happy to be there. I usually show up to A1 like, oh my god, like it's got to go good tonight. Like I
worked so hard. The start. It's the start of everything you worked for. So
it was cool to like show up and like say hi to fans. Like I was the kind of guy that I was isolated. I showed up. I went straight to my rig. I got my head straight in my bunk and went down for practice. And I tried. I have so many. All my all my family and friends are based out of Southern California, so Anaheim 1 was like the hotbed. Like I had, like as soon as I stepped out of the truck, I got to shake 30 hands. So I tried to like not to be rude, but I had a job to do. So it was like that was the most nerve-wracking thing. So to show up at A1 and be like, oh hey, what's up? How you been? Like actually have conversation with people was pretty cool. something I'm looking
like
forward
actually
to.
wanting to socialize instead of dreading the socializing because it's a distraction from what you're about to do. So now you're like, let's hang, dude. Where's everybody?
Yeah,
Let's
like
hang out.
I look forward to that now. I can't wait to go to the races and shake hands and take pictures and do all that stuff that I never got to really do. Yeah.
Well, Cole, thanks for coming on the show with me again. I think a lot of people are stoked on what you're doing because you didn't disappear. If anything, you seem to be more, I would say, publicly available than ever. You're doing all these rad things that people are just digging. So to come on here and talk about it, man, means a lot to me, and I appreciate it. Glad you're having fun, and I'll see you in a couple months, dude. Let's socialize at Anaheim 1.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on. And I can't wait. I'm excited for new season. So it's like Christmas again. So yeah, just stoked to go and say hi. Maybe I'll hang out with you guys in the booth again. That was fun back in the.
Hey, every time you've come on, it's been awesome. So let's book it. Let's book you for A1. Again, Cole, thanks for coming on Beyond the Track, bro. And I will see you and talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, man.